Well, autumn is officially here at Nanotech Web. The nights are drawing in and the weather is starting to let us know who's boss. So before those memories of the halcyon days of summer evaporate completely, here's a quick roundup of some of the top features and stories we've been covering on Nanotech Web. With the DNA sequencing focus collection coming to completion in nanotechnology, we looked in depth at some of the research featured in it. Among the papers in this collection was work from Jan Lindross's group, and we headed to KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm to find out more about it.
Take silicon insulator substrate, so that consists of a silicon wafer, and it has some oxide here, and it then has a thin device layer on top, and this could be something like 200 nanometers, but it can be reduced to any size we want simply by etching. And what we would do then is we make lithography on the back side, and we would actually etch big holes from the back side.
So
like
here is our double cell setup for the DNA sequencing. And so here we have this silicon chip. So on top we have an array of membranes, and on each membrane we have an array of nanopores. So we're using these nanopores to do the translocation experiment with the DNA molecules.
More in biological applications at Harvard, where researchers overcome the two major challenges in mesh electronics so that it can be used more effectively for probing the brain. Further developments in electronics as researchers in Singapore and the US produce single-electron transistors with CMOS-Integrable fabrication techniques. And we look in depth at some of the other developments in single-electron transistor research, speaking to Vyacheslav Kashtievs at the University of Latvia about the impact on areas from quantum information to thermodynamics.
So one of kind of major goals for quantum electrical metrology is to build precisely such kind of quantum limited current source. So that was the initial goal, in a sense very applied, but this requires a broader look, a broader view of how does transport happen on the quantum scale. And what I see now, that the types of approaches that have been developed with this specific applied purpose in mind now are having new and unexpected applications, first of all, to more basic science, and secondly, more broadly, I think electron now is approaching a leading role or a central role in designing new types of electronic circuits.
Scaling up to industrial manufacture, IBM Research announced successful fabrication of working test chips whose smallest features approach 7 nanometers, a breakthrough that allows more than 20 billion transistors to squeeze onto a single chip, about twice as many as the current record. Big data approaches make potential contributions to energy storage challenges, as researchers consider the highly desirable possibility of virtually screening large subclasses of chemical structures in order to identify the most promising candidates for battery electrolyte solvents and additives. At a more lo-fi extreme, researchers identify a new carbon capture resource while mulling over a cup of coffee. By simply rinsing and heating waste coffee grounds, Chris Kemp and colleagues produce a stable carbon capture material in less than a day, work that featured in the new Nanotechnology Select collection. In terms of energy harvesting, it turns out that lead halide perovskite thin films absorb sunlight better if they are exposed to moisture during fabrication, a counterintuitive result that could help further improve the performance of these up-and-coming solar cell materials. Which brings us on to light, and in our world tour of photonics, we stop at Zuzhou Xingshuo nanotech company at Nanopolis in Zuzhou, China, where Yunjun Wang describes his company's work developing quantum dots.
My name is Yunjun Wang. My company is focusing on the development of new generation luminescent material. We also call the quantum dots. This blue tube is our one of our very unique product. We call it blue emitting cadmium-free quantum dot.
With Trying Nano coming up this month, also at Nanopolis, we caught up with Jetty Shi to learn more about some of the aims of the centre and the conference. Back in Europe, we heard about more work on quantum dots, but using the abundant and non-toxic material silicon, a rather unusual choice for these structures. And if that's an unusual light source, how about a biocompatible laser made of silk that you could swallow?
A laser out of silk, which is a laser that is biocompatible. So a laser you could eat, you could inject in your bloodstream, very tiny little particle that emit laser light. And we hope that one day this will be the base for new sensors, which will tell you that if you have a certain thickness or if you have a certain product in a liquid by looking at the lasing emission and not just the fluorescence.
So we do the random lasing by using a very particular structure. And for that, we have polystyrene beads that are deposited after evaporation of the solvent. And these spheres are firstly covered with silk. Silk is a very white material, so it scatters a lot of light. If you now, inside the silk, you put some molecules, you have a medium that not only scatters light, but the molecules absorb this light and emit more light. And if you are able to do this, like in a conventional laser, you are able to amplify the signal at a particular wavelength. And that's what is the laser for.
And lots more disorder in photonics as we caught up with researchers, particularly young researchers, at the Complex Photonics Summer Camp. Don't forget to make your nominations for the Nanotechnology Young Researcher Award, which closes this month. Well, a busy few months again, and with people returning from travel for holidays and the busy conference season, we can only expect things to get busier still. Coming up on Nanotech Web, we've more on big data, and with the best solar-powered vehicles on the planet lining up for the World Solar Challenge race in Australia, we'll be taking a closer look at nanostructures in photovoltaics and the secrets of perovskite power in solar cells. Stay tuned.